Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I recently decided I wanted to make a Redbubble account, and I wanted to share my journey from the first designs that I make to hopefully the first few sales and kind of everything in between. So if you don't know what Redbubble is, it's a print-on-demand service where artists can upload and sell their designs on all sorts of products that Redbubble offers, such as pillows, mugs, t-shirts, a variety of things really. I thought this would be a good way to make some extra money, plus it's pretty convenient since Redbubble takes care of all of the orders and the shipping and everything. I think one of the biggest factors to this though is that I'll actually have a place for you guys to buy my artwork if any of you like anything that I make. So these are my first designs that I came up with. These aren't the final pieces because I do need to scale up the artwork and basically redraw all of these again in order for them to fit on the different products that I want them to go on. But at least I can share with you sketching phase, the whole issues that I ran into, and my thought process behind everything. So let's go ahead and get into that. So the first design I made was this cat sort of showing its butt to, I guess, whoever's looking at it, right? I got this idea from my boyfriend actually. I told him that I had made a Redbubble account and that I was interested in maybe trying to make some t-shirt designs, just for some extra money and all that. But I thought it would be kind of fun, and I asked him for ideas for t-shirts, and he was joking and said I should draw a cat's butt. But I thought it would be a fun idea, and so I sort of ran with it, and I did a few sketches in my sketchbook, which I'll show you guys now. From there, I just took those ideas and translated it into Sai. I didn't bother taking a picture and tracing over it or anything like that. I just decided to do it all from scratch again. You'll notice the anatomy of the cat is pretty whack, but I tried to find reference pictures of cats, sort of in this position, but there aren't too many that are from like a 3/4 view. It's mostly from like the side, I guess, because people aren't trying to take pictures of cats' butts, which I understand. It made me have to think a little more, just try to figure out, the perspective. Eventually you'll see me draw perspective lines and try to get something that looks good. And honestly, with this one and with pretty much all of them, it's a process of just getting a sketch down and basically making a new layer and drawing the whole thing over again, trying to refine it more and more with each sort of iteration. I find that this is just, how I work. So I actually took some inspiration from an artist on Redbubble that I follow called Obinsun. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But I've actually seen their artwork before. They sell t-shirts. They sell the same t-shirts at Hot Topic, but I just thought it was pretty cool because when I first made my account, they recommended this person to me, and I immediately recognized the art style right away. And I actually own one of the shirts that they sold at Hot Topic. So it's just kind of cool to know that this person's also on Redbubble as well, so I can directly support the artist from Redbubble rather than going to a third party, even though I think Redbubble is like a third party, right? I'll put some pictures of this artist's work on there, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I tried to, I just took some inspiration from this person, but I also want to make sure I'm not directly copying or anything like that. They do a more cartoony, sort of more rounded, bubbly type of characters, and that's not something that I do. I try to do my own thing with this one, make it my own. And I think I did a pretty good job. So here I'm just working on the Watch the World Burn sticker. I wanted to stay within the same realm of like the cat theme. I figured, cats are pretty popular. I love cats, and I figured maybe, you can't really go wrong with cats, right? I feel like they always sort of sell. And so I wanted to do something maybe almost sort of still inspired by Obinsun, but something that was sort of dark and kind of funny at the same time. So I thought of this Watch the World Burn design. I'll throw up what the sketch looked like in my sketchbook. Basically, the whole idea is that, you know, he's a really innocent looking cat with really big eyes, but like within the reflection of the eyes, you can see like fire, like almost like he's the one who started the fire or something like that. Like he's the one causing all the mayhem. So I thought that was just a really cute design. Honestly, there really isn't too much to say about it. So I guess we'll just move on to the next one. And you may have noticed there is actually a fourth design, and that logo is actually for a fictional band that I made up called Death by Bunnies. It's actually something that I'm doing for my own personal comic. My character Emily has a sweatshirt with this design on it. I've actually updated it a little bit for this particular thing because I thought maybe eventually if I ever do get around to my comic that it would make a really good sticker. This is just me just sort of playing, you know, with different ideas and everything. But I'll put up a picture too, that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I didn't actually record the whole sketching process for this one, but you're basically gonna see me redraw this again anyway. For this design, it actually was inspired by my first Inktober drawing that I did back in, 2019. I did try to participate in Inktober and I was doing pretty well, but I ended up, you know, not finishing. I think I took a vacation maybe towards the end of October. And so I just sort of fell really far behind and I just didn't do the rest of Inktober, but I was actually really fond of the first drawing that I did, and I'll throw up a picture of what it looked like, just so you guys can get some reference from what I'm talking about. I really liked the way that came out, and I wanted to sort of expand on it a little bit. I thought it would make a really good design, and I'll show you some of the sketches in my sketchbook that I did for this particular one. It actually took me a couple of tries to figure out what it is that I really wanted. Ultimately, I think the only thing I really kept the same from my Inktober drawing to this drawing is the fact that it's this girl who's in space. She has white hair that's sort of very flowy, almost sort of cloud-like. She has red lips, and she's sort of admiring this Saturn sort of planet, right? It's this planet with a ring on it. And so that's where that idea came from. But I wanted to take this and make it look a little bit better, I guess, you know, something that could actually be maybe on a t-shirt. I really want this to be a t-shirt design, and I don't want this to be a black and white design. I actually want this to be in color, and eventually you'll see me add color and kind of work with trying to figure out what it is that I want. I end up making her jacket sort of this not bright orange, but this orange color that's very reminiscent of the color that astronauts wear. I also give her these really sort of tall boots. I wanted them to look sort of like futuristic space boots, kind of. So that's what I was sort of going for. I wanted the colors to sort of work really well together. And so in contrast with the orange that I put for her sweater, I actually made her shorts a really pale blue, which I thought the colors worked really well together, especially with the white and gray that I end up putting on the boots later on. It did take me some time to sort of get the anatomy right for this one. I did actually have to take my own reference pictures for this, and so I was working, you don't see them on the screen, but they're off on another screen since I have two displays. You know, it's always important to use references when you can. Definitely, because otherwise I knew in my first initial sketch of this that her anatomy was a bit off and it didn't look quite right. And so once I started working from the reference and understanding how things should have been, I think it started looking obviously, 10 times better. And I'm really happy with how the entire thing sort of came out. So there is a lot of information that I need to learn, like file dimensions for each specific product, which Redbubble actually makes this pretty easy because they have a whole section in their help center where they give you the dimensions for everything that they have. So that's pretty easy to take care of. Pricing is another thing that I'm going to have to sort of figure out because I do want to keep the products relatively cheap and not too overpriced. but at the same time, I do want to make some sort of money off of my artwork. So that's just something I'm going to have to give some thought to, but it's not a big deal. And I think one of the sort of bigger issues is coming up with quality designs, you know, actually figuring out what it is that I want to make and how to make it look good and figuring out if it's going to sell. But again, all of this is just going to come with time and learning. I think my biggest concern with something like this, though, is the fact that Redbubble prints in a CMYK color profile. And for those of you who may not know what that is, I'll be honest, I'm not an expert and I'm still learning this stuff myself, but from what I've read, there are RGB and CMYK color profiles. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, but we can just call it black because that's basically what it is. As far as I know, RGB is mainly used on LCD screens, which give you a wider range of color, which as a digital artist is great because, you know, we have millions of colors to choose from basically, right? But what ends up happening is that when you go to print things on a material in a CMYK profile, you run the risk of having your colors being shifted. You may end up with completely different colors, or you may end up with the same color, but maybe the saturation is dulled down a bit. And for me, that's a really big issue because if I'm going to spend a ton of time on these designs, especially if they're going to have color in them, the last thing I would want is for someone to buy something of mine and have the colors look completely different, maybe even to the point where it sort of ruins the artwork. The way I plan to tackle that is I actually want to make my own color swatch shirt. So I did a bit of research and I actually found a website that has some CMYK specific colors, and there's a lot of them, you know. There's one page that has like 1,000 colors. There's another one that I think has like maybe like 200 and something or whatever. I wanted to take those colors and basically make my own color chart and then have that printed on both the white and black t-shirt. That way I have a sample of what the colors are going to look like, and I'm able to judge, you know, what colors I need to be picking. That way there aren't any surprises whenever I'm designing something and trying to have it printed on a t-shirt. Obviously, you know, I want it to look as close to what you see on screen as possible. So I'll actually show you a little clip of what it is that I've done. So what I first did was I actually had a file with all of the Copic colors on it. It's the Copic color wheel. I wanted to see how those colors would translate on a shirt, as well as the colors that I chose from the website that I had found. Basically, I'm going to have on the bottom half of the shirt all of the Copic colors, and then on the top half I'm going to have colors that I picked from the website that I had found. And from there I'll see, you know, what it is that I can get away with, what colors I need to be using, and all that stuff. Really, it's just going to be a test. Once I understand what the colors will look like once they're printed, I'll then try to do a few test samples of maybe a few basic designs and just see how those go. But I'll keep you guys updated on that, I really want to share that information with you guys as well, in case if anyone else wants to, you know, start a Redbubble as well. I know this can all be very confusing, and, you know, like I said, I'm still learning myself, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, you guys, that's all I have for right now. I know I didn't really show any sort of finished artwork or anything, but like I said, I'm just really excited to share with you this sort of journey of trying to figure all this out and seeing what comes out of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hearing me kind of ramble here and there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I post new art videos every other Wednesday, so consider subscribing to the channel by clicking my logo on the screen or the subscribe button down below. If you'd like to further support this channel and me, you can buy me a Ko-fi in the link below, and anyone who donates gets a shout out at the end of my videos. Thanks, guys!